Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Chrono Trigger. Last part we started off the game and got thrown back in time to 600 AD, and now we're finding our first enemy for the part, Green Imps. 32 HP, 4 XP, 1 TP, 24 gold, and can drop a tonic. Tonics are more or less this game's normal potions. They heal about 50 HP.
Not about. What's this deal with about? Like, I can understand if it's Earthbound, because Earthbound never has, it has like a range, depending on like when you use it, but you know, that's just me. So.
I tend to say about just a lot, just because a lot of people would probably use them in mass.
Also, power tab.
In early game, most of the power tabs are going to be going to Chrono because he's one of the most physical members in the team. But if you don't want to give them to him, that's perfectly fine.
Also, I learned that, oh well, I'll go over this enemy here. Rolly Riders, these guys have 30 HP, 5 XP, 2 TP, and they give out 40 gold. What doesn't make sense to me is that how their HP bars are now combined just because they're right on top of each other.
Stamina, maybe?
Maybe. And, I learned that the hit rate, or like the amount of damage that Luca and Marl do is dependent on their hit level, not their power level. So power tabs are useless against them.
I've heard something like that. I know some attacks are entirely based off magic stat.
Magic?
Yeah, it's very few attacks. I might be thinking the wrong thing, though. Also, check this bush. Whenever you're in this forest, you actually get a shelter. That's there whenever you re-enter.
You can get infinite shelters if you want.
Which is odd. Which, mind you, it's not horribly useful because I almost always find myself below 10. But it's there if you want to use them. I rarely do. And this is Guardian Castle in 600.
They see halt.
And they think we're very weak looking. But it's the queen. You know, that queen looks familiar. And she... How does someone from 400 years ago know us? That just doesn't make chronological sense unless there's an ancestor of ours around here that looks like us, in which case... Actually, that's a good question. Where's Chrono's ancestors?
I was thinking you probably ran into them, since his mom is just a regular sprite, and, you know, the whole fatherless protagonist thing is a thing.
But you're saying, like, Banta or whatever his name is could be his ancestor?
No, that's...
Because I've always heard that was Luca's.
That's Luca's.
Huh. Either way, here's actually the soldiers' barracks. You can actually use the beds here. And I like to talk to these people just because we get some info on what's going on in the military section. Their best knight, Cyrus, is missing. Magus' soldiers destroyed the Zenon Bridge. And we have no access to them down on the southern continents. There's actually a good amount of dialogue around here.
Yeah, you can get additional dialogue from those soldiers if you go down to the dining hall, I think.
Yeah. The main reason I always come down here is, first off, there's technically a secondary inn here that if you sit, I think it's the top left seat, and press A on the table, one of the waitresses will come up and give you a choice of something that always does 100 HP. Not 100, maxes out. And there's another there.
I thought it healed all of your HP.
What is this ice cream stuff?
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
Ice cream. Ice cream. You scream. We all scream for ice cream.
Wow, that definitely hints towards who Lean is. And this scene only happens when you talk to a certain people in a certain order, which is odd. They're not even here for like 20 seconds, all things considered.
Huh, those two seem to be having a thing going on here.
They're actually... it's something that they don't really go into in the Super Nintendo translation, even though I think they outright state it there in the DS version. Those two are brothers.
No, they say they're brothers.
Well, I know you... I think you have to talk to them extra for that, and I think they outright say it during that conversation in the DS version, though.
Oh, well, I mean, you learn it later on. That's the thing.
Yeah, you learn it later on for a fact, but I think they say it there in the DS version.
That guy's weird. That
Chancellor is acting kind of strangely.
That weird.
But the
that
king
weird
is treating
Dumbledore,
us well.
That weird bad Dumbledore with a staff.
This outdates Dumbledore, so technically speaking, it's Dumbledore's that weird Chancellor.
Yeah.
And the king's grateful to us, so we're actually gonna go see the queen. There's actually a lot of rooms to the castle, but don't grab many of the chests except the other I grabbed earlier. I'll go over why in a moment.
Don't
Hello
grab
there,
them.
Queen.
Now I'm wondering why.
Well, by there, I don't know why she made them leave. Though you all can probably tell why. This is Marl. For some reason, apparently, she resembles Lean. Which, odd, but at least she's glad to see us. I have an issue with this cutscene, and it's her dialogue, because it is, first off, overly generic fantasy.
Sappy.
But, yeah, it's very sappy. That's what I'm probably looking for. And something's going on. The world got green. What the...
Girl, what are you doing? Oh, did you just kick her? Chrono, that's rude. Chrono, that's rude.
No, he charged into her to try and grab her.
Oh.
Well, she'd disappeared. That's weird. Of course I was polite. And no, I did not do anything funny.
Are you sure?
Yet.
Rude.
Weird. Well, let's head back down and see if we can get any more dialogue from people about what's going on. What? Luca!
Who? Girl.
Oh, at least that means she got here somehow.
Gone? What do you mean she's gone? Ugh.
But she finally realized where she recognized her from. That's because Marl is, in fact, her, the princess of our time, Nadia. And now the game applies one of its few full cases of temporal physics.
Yay for the
Because
grandfather
Nadia-
paradox.
Well,
not
this isn't
really,
exactly
not
that,
really
because
that,
if this was a bootstrap paradox, time would have imploded. Because Marl got here and was mistaken for her ancestor, that means her ancestor who was kidnapped into the cathedral was never found. Because of that, Lean never got to have kids, meaning Marl
Does
never
not exist.
existed. What? And the way, technically speaking, if this worked the way it should, Chrono and Luca should go back to their time and forget all this ever happened almost immediately. That's because this game applies temporal physics very slowly, and very selectively as well. The way I always took it is that maybe it would take time for Lean to die, so therefore there's still a chance. Maybe there's still soldiers out there that don't know the search has been called off. It's also because that minor events can happen, like you talking to NPCs, and time won't be influenced at all. But yeah, you want to ignore pretty much every chest around here.
Why though?
How you doing, Chancellor?
Why would you want to ignore
What?
the chests though?
I'll go over that in a moment. And if we talk to the Chancellor from this side, apparently he had something to do with Lean's disappearance. So we should probably, now that we know that, head over to the cathedral that was mentioned earlier. Either way, you want to ignore the chests in this area because it has a bit of a Final Fantasy VI situation. If you leave these chests and then grab them in the present, there will be better items inside.
That happens even if you grab them.
No, if you grab them in the past, the chests will be empty in the future because you grabbed them before they can become better
I know
items.
that's the case in other places, but I don't remember that being the case here.
It's in all areas like that.
Oh.
Either way, we want to go to the store and get a few new equipment items, and especially sell some of the old stuff. Because Luca's now in our party, and Luca is a very weird party member in terms of attack. She uses a gun, which is very low in attack power, but she already has 2 techs to make up for it. Flame elemental tech, which, well, first off, no, she didn't have it from first. I actually did some grinding the force, that's right.
Also, the
And now that I have my 2
Menorah
techs-
Cathedral theme is beautiful.
Well, this plays in more areas, but it's just known for here more often than not. I don't
These
know why that lady
nuns
just
are
called me
weird.
delicious. Yeah, well, at least there's something here. And it's a hairpin.
Guardia's Royal
That has
Crest.
Guardia's Royal Crest. The queen is here somewhere.
What?
And this
Nuns
is about
on
to
fire.
be weird. Nagaets. Next new enemy, 60 HP, 8 XP, not 80. 1 TP, 80 G, and they're weak to lightning and fire. These are the first enemies with elemental weaknesses, and the reason I'm saying that is because we have attacks that can do those elements.
You got an iron
Chrono
blade.
slash
Put
tech
it on.
is lightning.
Didn't you get an iron blade? Put it on.
I don't think I did.
I thought you did.
And obviously, Flame Whirl, the dual tech between Chrono and Luca, and the Flame Toss tech for Luca is Flame Elemental. So I use that, and anyone that's weak to it. The interesting thing about a lot of techs in this game is that they actually are area of effects. Like Chrono Cyclone will hit anything within this little cyclone slash area, and anything in the line of Lucas Flame Toss will get damaged as well. Oh god. Well, what the? Is that a
Talking
medieval
frog.
speaking frog?
Also nice cape.
Well then.
He could make a good Fire Emblem Lord.
I've seen a lot of strange stuff in my time, but a talking frog, that's up there.
Now I've seen everything.
And it wants to help us out, but Luca is a bit apprehensive about it, but she wants any help we can get,
Nice
so
to
let's go
frog.
with the
Be
frog.
nice to Frog Marth and go with him.
And what's his name?
Froggo.
Frog.
His name is Froggo.
I applaud their originality.
I was hoping.
And he thinks that there's a hidden door around here, so let's check that out. If you're not really good at games, just check the piano, because it's the obvious thing to check. You were saying?
Never mind. I was just saying be nice to Frog Marth and that because of his cape he'd be good. Because all Fire Emblem...
Yeah, capes doesn't always mean good, because keep in mind...
No capes!
Roy.
Oh, right.
Anyway, Kenny, next enemy is yours.
Oh, right. Next we have Diablo. 50 HP, giving...
Diablos.
Whatever. Diablos. 50 HP, 10 XP, 1 tech point, and 60 gold. Nothing too special.
And that's going to be the case for a lot of enemies. And like I said earlier, a lot of them do have counterattacks. Like I think these guys might counter with a physical attack. But especially in early game, it doesn't really matter because they'll be killing a lot of things in one hit, and that's a critical hit. Critical hits, I'm actually not sure of how the damage ratio is increased. It's either doubled or something else
Probably
happens there.
1.7 something. It's a weird ratio. I don't think it's doubled.
Yeah. You can always tell when you get a critical hit, though, by the white flash of the screen. Some characters get extended attack animations, like I think Chrono and Frog both get an extra slash at it,
Well,
but beyond that, nothing really changes.
another good way to tell is that with Frog and Chrono and a couple other characters, they will jump to the enemy. They won't run to the enemy and slash them. They will jump to the enemy, hit them, and then go back.
Right.
Also,
and then we got a maiden suit, which is female exclusive equipment. And here we got the Naga at Bromide, which is immediately going to lead into our next encounter against these
things.
derpy guys. These are our next enemy, Henches. 49 HP, 200 defense, 10 magic defense, so our first enemy that doesn't have 127 defense and 50 magic defense. 11 XP, 1 TP, and 135 gold, and they're weak to lightning and fire as well. Thankfully, a good flame whirl followed by a flame toss is well more than enough. Also, Frog has a healing technique, so make sure to use that if you need it.
How is being slurped by a frog helpful?
I'm gonna take a guess and say it has origins in some sort of weird herbal medicine.
But what if Frog is a poison? What if Frog is a poison dart frog?
He's not that brightly colored.
Oh.
And there's a steel saber. That's not much better. It's a better weapon for Chrono. It's better than anything we can get at this point, so might as well grab that. And that's a switch on the wall. More often than not, there will be switches on walls you need to press in order to make things interact, so yeah. And these are 2 kidnapped soldiers. Random.
And a power tab.
But there's a power tab in here. That's going to Chrono.
None for Frog. Poor Froggy boy.
Frog later on in the game will be getting some tabs, but for the most part, I do have a bit of a set thing as to how tabs go.
I usually give most of my early ones to Chrono.
Most early game power tabs for me go to Chrono. Eventually, they start going to another person, and past a certain point, they almost all go to Frog.
Next enemies are Gnashers. 90 HP, 8 XP, 1 tech point, 70 gold. They can drop revives, which are Phoenix Downs, and they always restore the KO'd character back to 50 HP, and they're weak to lightning and fire.
Now, I should mention, the way I'm going to be revealing enemy note information is that if we don't have the ability to use a certain thing, it's not going to be in the notes. Like, there are more elements than just lightning and fire. Like, that thing is weak to all elements, technically speaking, but since we don't have them all, I'm not going to say it's in the notes.
I mean, technically we do have water because frog is water, right?
He doesn't have any attacks like that, though, yet. Keyword, yet. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, sparkle, sparkle, sparkle. Ow, my knee.
Ha. Wreck.
And these guys think we're the monsters in disguise, which is weird because past this point in the game, I don't think the monsters being able to disguise themselves as humans comes up ever again. Wait, no, it comes up one more time. And that's it.
One more time.
Late game, side quest.
Right.
And this is random. You know, out of all things to disguise yourself as, the king who is almost always in the castle is not a good thing to be. And I'll be honest, there's something I was very dumb about in this game for my first few playthroughs. I had no idea this was here.
Same.
But apparently this is actually, the thing on the screen is actually a statue to their leader, Magus. He looks pretty imposing.
He looks like I don't know what that is. He looks not clothed to me.
I can see it. Either way, we got a speed belt there, which increases your speed by 2, which is going to be really good on Luca. Because the thing is about Luca as well, is that she is slow.
I usually give
Admittedly,
I usually give my speed taps to her.
Past a certain point, I start alternating them between her and another person, but early on, they all go to one specific person we haven't met yet. Even though, admittedly, right now, her speed isn't the worst, because the thing is, speed maxes out at 16. So, a bit of a random number at that, by the way. So, if you want to give your tabs to her, that's good enough, but I don't usually do that. And that's a save point. Save points work as they do in like Final Fantasy 4, 5, and 6. You can save there and use a tent there at pretty much anything except for
sometimes for me it's pretty annoying to get into the spot where I can actually save. Or like use a shelter.
You are right about that.
Or like use a shelter, yeah.
Because if you move like even a pixel off of where the ding sound effect plays, it's not going to work. And that switch makes more of these things appear. These enemies are Mad Bats. 18 HP, 6 XP, 1 TP, and 75 gold. And their attacks can drain your HP. Or at least their main attack does. I'm not sure if they actually have another attack that doesn't.
How did that miss?
I don't know. I forget exactly how the hit rate works in this game, because I know every enemy technically has an evade stat, but it's not really important. Because, in my experience at least, I miss less than, like, 15% of my shots usually.
Unless you're fighting a certain...
Unless you're fighting 2 specific enemy types off the top of my head,
yes.
Yeah. And if you haven't noticed it yet, the way a lot of encounters work in this game is that they're not random. They're actually set on certain domains. So avoiding them is more often than not either just not touching the enemies or pixel perfect. And I gotta admit, this system is actually, first off, very convenient for editing. And I actually like it because it actually feels like you're in a fortress, where there's not enemies around every corner, there's only enemies in areas that they're set to patrol.
And enemies like don't respawn.
We have to press the switch in the right room. Some of them do, depending if you reload a save area, a save, or if you leave and re-enter an area. And right there we got an iron sword, which is an upgrade for Frog. There was a switch on the right. We had to press to lower these spikes, and we needed to do that in order to press this organ. You may notice there was a note on the top, and I forget what it says, but the weird thing about it is that its dialogue changes depending on where you are in the game's progress. If you investigate it before pressing the piano, it says one thing. Afterwards, it says another. And after you clear the area, it says a third thing, actually.
Really?
Yeah. This game's actually filled with a lot of little details like that that's not really worth it in the long run.
Just meant for entertainment purposes. Purposes. I can English.
I can't. And in case you're wondering if I'm ever going to set the battle speed over to active, probably not, because I like to be a lot strategic for my battles.
I like the battles to go like Final Fantasy X.
I'm surprised they haven't reused that thing yet. Either way, the Chancellor's here, so it is in fact revealed that he's behind this entire thing. And he's just going to let Lean get away so we can do our thing.
Yay for surrealism.
All right, an old man. This should be pretty easy.
True form. Excuse me. Goku Super
Oh.
Saiyan. Yakra, what are you doing? Yakra, 920 HP, gives you 50 experience points, 5 tech points, and 600 gold.
And the way we're going to be handling a lot of bosses in this game is that we go over their stats, and then we both go over our main strategies. I tend to do two things with Yakra. Either I use X-Strike with Frog and Chrono, which is the dual tech. You should have learned by this point if you did all the battles in the area. And Flamethrower with Luca, unless healing is needed, in which case you should have her do it. Or open with X-Strike, and then just have Luca stand by only to heal so you can avoid any counterattacks that Yakra does. Because the thing he just did there, he counterattacks with that very often. So if you want the safe strat, go with the latter and don't have Luca attack at all.
What I really like to do is have an X-Strike followed by a flame toss, and I usually like to do a switcheroo, which is basically I use X-Strike, and then I have Luca on standby for a heal, and then I use Fire Whirl with Luca and Chrono, and then I have Frog use Slurp. It's a bit of a weird strategy, but
that's a
it works.
bit roundabout, but yeah. Now, one thing I've never been quite certain about X-Strike that I know almost exactly works like that in, I think, Chrono Cross, is that the sooner the X crosses, the more damage it does. And he's down. Yakra is a very easy boss fight. He's the first one for a reason, but the counterattacks can still do a good amount of damage, so have someone almost always on standby for healing in my eyes. And that's it. We saved Lean. That was easy. And by the way, I should mention, I love this song.
This is Luca's theme for some reason.
Yeah, and it actually became the victory theme in Chrono Cross, and I love it there.
Thank you, but I've heard Chrono Cross's theme. I don't think it's like this one, and I like this one a lot.
It is. It's the victory theme. But either way, Lean is saved, so that means Marl should come back, and there's the real Chancellor. How the hell were you in that box, and how did you breathe?
He gave him a little
Let's head
hole.
back to the castle.
Maybe there was a keyhole that he could breathe through.
Maybe, but how did he fit in there is the bigger question.
He's a contortionist?
That old man, really?
I mean...
Mind you, I guess it takes a lot of skill to grow a beard out like that.
Maybe he has a home in his beard.
Maybe. Oh, Frog's theme, yes. They actually don't play the full version of the
Which
song
makes
in the
me
game.
so sad because I love the beginning of his theme so much. So much.
The only thing to really note about this cutscene is that apparently they're going to make a criminal justice system in the kingdom to stay away with people like him. Which, keep that in mind for later. Either way, we should head back up to Lean's room because that's where Nadia disappeared. Though I have to wonder how they confused her for her in the first place. Well, I get that they look alike because, ancestor.
But
they say that
Marl's
she
so
looks
much
younger
younger
than Lean has in years. Yeah, you'd think they would be able to tell just based off the age thing. Well, that's a good sign already.
Soldiers are dumb sometimes.
Yeah, she's back. And for some reason, she already lost the dress.
The dress got lost in time.
I suppose. Now, here's the start of a bit of a weird theme they have in some cutscenes in the game, wondering about what it's like to die. Which, I have to admit, I like the fact that they're doing that in a game that's more or less aimed at kids with its translation. But it's weird that they bring that up here of all times. And here's this song again.
I like the other version of this theme.
Yeah, I wouldn't run you through without the fair. Yeah, without a guard at least around. I do like this cutscene, though, because Marl is in a really strange situation with her family and such, so a cutscene like that actually I really like.
Friends are important.
Yeah, and the fact that we're not, well, aside from the fact that I wouldn't have shown her around, the fact that we're still friends after all that, I like this scene. If there's anything I give this game credit for, is that its characters, while and sometimes kind of tropish, and almost
Cliché?
at times outright generic as to what they're about to do.
Oh.
Yeah, cliche, that's a better word. I do like what they did with them. But we haven't met my favorite character yet.
I know who your favorite character is.
Hey, Frog! And for some reason, I never got why he blames himself for the queen getting kidnapped, even though Frog actually doesn't live anywhere near the castle. So why he blames himself, yeah, I've never been quite sure on.
Well, I mean, people blame themselves a lot, I guess.
But he respects Chrono as a swordsman, so that's a good step to friendship, and Luca likes him now.
Oh, Luca. You're weird.
Luca's actually one of my favorite characters in the game. Not my absolute favorite, but I do really like her.
If I had to...
I don't know why.
If I had to rate my favorite characters, it would be...
Don't say names.
I know. It would be the one that steals. Oh god. Magnificent Hair. Froggo. Marl.
Struggling.
Yeah, I'm struggling. They're all super good, but...
Yeah, admittedly, another thing I can say about Chrono Trigger is that almost every single one of its party members is actually really useful. The one I honestly find the least use in overall is probably Marl, aside from boss fights.
Well, honestly, I think her curing ability, she has, like, aura and stuff. But, I think...
Well, the thing is, the thing is about curing is that aside from 3... Because the thing is, there's 7 characters in total in the game. I feel comfortable with saying that without spoiling anything. 4 of them have the ability to heal to some degree. And if you use items, technically speaking, all 7 do. So, someone who's basically the generic white mage like Marl doesn't find a lot of use in most fights for me.
That's true.
Especially when you're someone who's overall as aggressive as I am. Also, one thing I'm surprised about, after saving Lean and them learning that Marl wasn't the real one, so a lot of the characters don't have different dialogue around here, which I never understood.
Lazy writing?
But,
no.
Possibly, or just the fact that they didn't think to because it's not that big of a trigger.
Trigger.
Pun there. But with that, we're going to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 3, we'll be hopefully finding a way back to 1000 AD and getting Marl back to the castle because she is in a lot of danger already just based off that, and she has had one hell of a long day. 400 years long, in fact.
400 years long.
See you guys then.
then.